Hey, welcome to Soul Plane TV. I'm Megan Kerr and I'm here with Carly Cathy. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Megan. Here we are.
And today we're going to dive deeply into discussion around our personal roles and identity and what on earth that has got to do with our life purpose, our soul's connection, and being all that we are in this wonderful life. So we have some teaching around the subject of personal roles and identities, and we have a wonderful process that Carly is going to lead us into that helps us really identify and get in touch with that aspect of self. We're also going to be discussing limitations that may arise on that journey, and what it's all about, our roles and identities, what's going on there, how that impacts our life, and how that impacts our connection with our soul self.
Yeah.
So let's begin with, what are roles and identities? How we are with those, what on earth they are, how they show up in our life and within ourselves.
Yeah. Well, shall I take it from there? To land us in there, the way I experience the roles that we have in our way of being is the personality parts of our humanity. So it's the roles that we play in our families, in our work life, in our social life, in our love life, in our playing life, in our athletic life, whatever part of life it might be that you're engaged in at that time. We have certain masks or roles or identities that we might play out depending on the situation we're in. And often in life, it's not just a one hat fits all, is it? So we need to sort of look into it, or we can if we choose to. And the roles Megan and I are talking about today, or the different identities that we might play around with that make up our personal identity, would have to do with, like, for example, in the family life, we could be a mother or a daughter or a niece. We might be a grandparent. We might be a godparent. We might be a step parent. We might be a cousin. So there's all a brother or sister. There's all these roles that we might play in the family life. Then we might look into our working life. We might be a entrepreneur. We might be a boss. We might be a staff member. We might be an accountant or an architect or a manufacturer. There's all these different infinite amounts of roles that we might play out there depending on which way life's taking us. As opposed to our love life, we might put on the role of flirt. We might put on the role of seeker, of introvert or extrovert. There's all different ways that these roles might play out. So I guess the way we're talking about them, you might jump in here as well, Megan, is the different identity that we might be wearing in a certain time, in a certain role in life.
Exactly, Carly. And so we bring this through as a way of, quite often it's an unconscious wearing of the roles that we do. And so we grow, we're born, we come into a certain part in our family, and we have a certain role there, oldest, youngest, middle child. And so as we grow into our life, we have these personal roles that we inhabit, that we live through. And they really serve us. This is the normal egoic structure of who we are. We need to have these roles to function well within our family and within our life. And so we've talked about it before, Carly, as though we liken it to, we put on, as you said, a certain mask that we might allow the world to see. We put on a cloak that we wear in the world, the cloak of middle sister or whatever it is. And so that all really serves us. That's very normal. And what we are deepening into is around when there becomes a calling through ourselves, a sort of an energy of awakening that happens. And we're very sure that you're here watching this because you've felt that energy of awakening. That can show up in many, many ways. Then our relationship with our roles and our identity comes under the spotlight a little bit, and really needs to come under the spotlight so that that awakening can really grow through us. So it's like we start to shrug off the mask a little bit, or we see how the mask is limiting us, is keeping us in a certain role that may not be serving us, that may be keeping us away from a deeper expression of who we are. And when that personal, spiritual awakening begins to happen, that is when the mask becomes a little tight, the fit becomes too tight, and perhaps isn't serving us as well as what it used to.
Yeah. And also, and to expand or deepen into that from another perspective, there's a rigidity we can sometimes get with our identification with our roles. So when we hang on to our role and claim to be, no, but this is my role, this is how I show up in the world, therefore I cannot do that. Or we might use things as an excuse, our roles as an excuse to do something or to not do something. And what that can really do is prevent us from being in our flow, from being malleable, from letting go of ways of being that no longer serve us, and adapting or adjusting or welcoming in new ways that may serve us more. So there's a learning curve that can come here. The more aware we are of the self that we're projecting into the world, the more we can consciously create that cloak or that mask so that it really does serve the deeper purpose that's trying to shine its light through in this part of our world at the moment.
Yeah, and that brings me to thinking about it as, you know, it's really important that we acknowledge and consider that there's a developmental edge here. So when we're younger, of course, we are naturally mostly very identified with our roles and identity. It's not until we reach certain developmental milestones as an adult that we start to consider that, hey, maybe this role of being middle sister or the quiet girl in the family is not serving me anymore. And we start to look at, is that really who I am? Or is that a role I keep playing and continuing to play with just because it fits into my family structure and that's how it's always been? Is there a bigger voice in me, for example, that wants to come through and be expressed? And that's where we start to really look at our roles and identity and consider, you know, is this really who I am, or is this who I was, or my family, or my workplace, or whoever society expected me to be? And that served me once, but maybe it's starting to limit me now. And there is more of me that I'm connecting to and more of me that wants to shine through.
Beautiful, yeah, and right in there is a very important nugget as to the reason that most of us come onto the spiritual path or the path of seeking soul or a deeper connection. Because we realize, don't we, that this way of being maybe isn't serving me. It's been conditioned into me. It might not even carry with it the beliefs that actually ring true for me anymore. So there's a waking up to the possibility of shining more of our deeper truth into the world. And that requires sometimes disappointing our parents or our families or our educators in some way. And we're not trying to reject them or push them away or make them wrong, but just now that way of being maybe doesn't quite serve us in the way that we've realized that we're growing into now. So that's what Soul Plane's really all about, is riding that developmental edge, riding that developmental wave that says, I'm actually recognizing that, yes, I have this body and this conditioning and this belief system and this upbringing and these goals and aspirations, but maybe they're not really true for me at the moment. Maybe I've either outgrown them or realized they just don't resonate with me at this deeper level. And so here we're providing a way that we can really tap into that.
Yeah, so we're talking about if we are only identifying with ourselves at the level of role or identity, then there's some power that's not there, some vitality, some potency that's not showing through. And the work we do with Soul Plan really helps us to connect with that deeper essence of self and allow that to begin radiating out through ourselves, through our psyche, and into our life and relationships. So, if our roles and identities are still very rigid or tight and unconscious, so we're not really aware of them, then it's more difficult for that wisdom, that energy and information of soul to radiate outward into our life and to be born through us and expressed through us. And so that's why you and I, Carly, are really hot on let's get really clear about the roles that we do inhabit, the identity that we do put forward in the world. We're not trying to break down or strip away really forcefully the egoic structure. We're saying let's get clear about it. That creates some space that allows that light of soul to shine through the mask or the cloak or whatever it is, however we see those roles and identity. So we're being very inclusive here. We're not cutting off one to allow the other. We're saying let's get really clear about what it is and allow that light of soul to shine through, that vitality, potency and power to come through.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautifully put. And just to sort of put a nice little caveat, and it's not even a caveat, it's maybe a little slogan on it. You know how they keep saying possession's 9/10 of the law? In this context, awareness is 9/10 of freedom. And it's the freedom that comes from soul, being aware of, like Megan just said, the roles that we're playing and then not being rigid of them, recognizing when to let them go, pick them up, change them, tweak them, so we can let the light of soul come through. And this is where the nugget of freedom comes from in the world, for us in our lives.
Yeah. So, Carly, how would someone identify when their roles and identity are becoming a little restrictive, when there's that little nudge from the spiritual self, from the soul self, creating a bit of push within our psyche? What are the symptoms, the states of being that would tell us that that's happening?
Yeah, beautiful. Our nervous system is going to give that away immediately. We will feel anxious. We might feel frustrated. We might feel angry. We might get just really triggered very easily. And the nervous system will really let us know. And I've come to really know anxiety and frustration and these more challenging, edgy sort of emotions as being that which is really calling us to come into alignment. It's speaking to a lack of alignment with our deeper soul self, a lack of alignment with our deeper truth and our true calling into the world. So for me, when I'm experiencing anxiety, I've learned to start asking, what now? What? It's excitement and opportunity. Something deeper in me is calling me, because the way my thinking mind and my thinking self and my role of all of that, the way that's going isn't really quite jiving with the mojo of my soul. It's got something else going on, and it's calling me to wake up, to listen a little deeper, and to check in, tune in at that deeper source, at that deeper soul self.
Exactly. So when we come from that context, our relationship to anxiety, fear, frustration, all of those very uncomfortable states of being is able to change. As you said, we can connect with those states of being, or relate to those states of being rather, as opportunities, as there's maybe something exciting here. Maybe there's a voice from the deeper self that's speaking to me. And so if I can really connect in and listen, there's some amazing opportunity here.
Yeah. And that's the opportunity, sorry darling, that's the opportunity that is what we're offering for you to be able to dig into here. when we go through the processes that we've especially designed to come together with Soul Plan to allow us to really bring it up and out into the world. And I think you were about to say something about to share it in the world.
Probably.
And I just, yeah, I cut you off, darling. But somewhere in there is the capacity to access this. We call it soul self or deeper soul. You might call it. I know some people call it their inner she or the inner goddess or the deeper self or the higher self or the God self. Whatever really works for you. We're not very attached to the terminology here. But the important thing is to understand that we're talking about that deepest dimension of self that's still personal. And I feel like at this place, if it's okay, I've come across, you know how we often use the onion as our analogy for peeling off the layers. And as we peel off the layers, we go deeper and deeper into ourselves. But in yoga, there's kind of two ways of doing this, and one is the Kundalini way, which is that peeling away of the layers to get to the core, and so we can strip layers off, and we can arrive at the core and be quite raw and messy here in a certain way. But the other way of going to the onion is to recognize that the plant grows out of the top of the onion, and the onion actually creates itself from the inside. So we can go in through the plant or in through the body and in deeper into the soul. When we get into that deeper part of the inner core of the onion, we have the essence or the core from which the onion creates itself. So we could liken this to the soul, and it's from this depth that change and transformation, evolution and growth actually occurs. So you're the onion in your life, and as you look into the onion, that core part where it keeps generating from, it's from the inside that the onion will build its layers, it'll grow its plant, it'll send down its roots. And this is what the human is doing. It's the soul that breathes the body into action from the core. So the soul is the core, the deepest dimension of self that's still personal.
And what beautiful onions we are.
Yeah.
But that does bring me to something that we're really hot on in soulplan.tv is this is an embodying and awakening process. So in all of that we teach and all the processes that we work with, we're not suggesting that we go out of the body and go up to connect to spiritual self. We're saying let's dive deeper, because this is really where the finer dimensions of self are. And so we teach you to go to that very subtle layer that's deeply held within the body, because really it's held within every single cell of our body. It's there for us to access, and this is the work that we teach.
Yeah, and that's the nervous system, I think, is the key to all of this. When you're feeling your emotions, when you're feeling the rise and fall of the trigger inside of yourself, you're feeling embodied. And the nervous system will play out anywhere in your torso, pretty much. And it can play out beyond and throughout your entire body, but most of us are going to feel it either in our heart or our solar plexus or our gut. And it's somewhere in there that we're going to be registering and listening the most. So I love how you've just brought in that it's all about embodiment. And if I just sort of expand on the onion for 5 seconds longer, the Kundalini way of peeling away the layers is part of what we do here in Soul Plan. But the other way of going in through the core is also part of what we do here in Soul Plan. And so it's about accessing our felt sense of where we're at through that core, which is embodied. It's not transcendent, it's embodied consciousness.
Yeah, it's not transcendent, it's embodied consciousness. And there's that we really bridge that gap. I understand from clients, from working with people for so many years, that often the self, the role, the identity that's presented to the world and how we really feel on the inside us can be so different. There can be such a gap present there. And so this is the deeper work that we're doing here, is we're helping people to really bridge that gap and also to connect with that soul self and express her through the world. So she becomes the more congruent identity. You know, you've seen women who you see that light just shining through their whole being, and you get that that is the whole person presented. And conversely, you may have seen women who you feel like, oh, this is what's being presented to me, but I don't kind of get it. There's someone there that I'm not connecting with. I can't really connect with her. And so we've all witnessed that in our life in relating to others. And so this is this deep, juicy connecting work that we're doing that allows us to be truly all of who we are and to express her in the world. And to do that, we're getting clear about, so what are the roles and identity that I do inhabit that I'm just kind of walking around with this mask on and it's not really me anymore. It's not really serving me either.
Yeah. So, do you want to add anything to that, or should we jump into a little process so we can each that's listening here start to identify these roles a little bit and then check out this human cloak of personality that we wear?
Yeah, so this is a good opportunity for you to really jump into this process that Carly's going to lead us through to consider what shows up for you. And this is not a process that we're going to complete and finish with. This is an awakening and identifying process.
Yeah, nice. The key here is to just go with whatever comes up for you. Okay, let go of the thinking and just be. So if it's appropriate for you at the moment, just find yourself in a comfortable seated position. You might even like to lay down on your back for a moment, somewhere on a couch or a floor or something. And if you're seated, just find your feet on the ground and your sits bones into your support. And if you're lying down, just feel your entire spine connecting with the support beneath you. Your buttocks and the backs of your legs, the backs of your shoulders and head, you'll also feel connecting to the support beneath you. And just bring your awareness to your breath. So let the body be comfortable, knowing you won't be here for very long, but you will be here for long enough. And just bring your awareness to your breath. And with your awareness on your breath, begin to become aware that the breath and the soul make the body happen. So you might start to notice the rise and fall of the chest, the abdomen. You might start to sense and feel into the body that you are, becoming aware that you have arms and legs that allow you to do things and be things in the world. You have a heart that emits its own consciousness of love and gratitude. You have a mind that can serve and limit you in all sorts of different ways. Your awareness on your breath, let each inhalation breathe life into you, and let each exhalation gently allow you to breathe more life back into the body. Each inhalation bringing in life, and each exhalation allowing you to surrender and let go. And as you breathe into this body that you are, let your mind begin to cast its awareness across the roles that you play in life. Tuning into the role you play in normal, everyday life to the most. Perhaps for you it's mother. It might be employee, solopreneur, or boss, or manager, or leader. Any number of roles that you may spend your day in, bring your awareness to that main significant role that identifies the whole of you or the most of you, in your daily life. Feel how this role serves you, limits you, how it allows you to express yourself or hold you back from expressing yourself. And perhaps you might like to just feel how this cloak, this mask, this role feels as you wear it around. And perhaps beyond this, there's another role that you play in addition to or aside from this one. It might be what you played more as a younger being in the world, whether it was sister or niece, granddaughter. As you grew up, perhaps you tuned more into girlfriend, fiancé, and wife, into auntie, mother, grandmother. Perhaps you connect into the different roles you may play in your working life. Notice the role that you play if you are self-employed or if you are employed by another. And beyond all of this, or included in all of this, become aware of your name, your first name, your middle name, if you have one, and your last name. Becoming aware of the roles that are attached to your last name through your genealogy and your history. Becoming aware of what these roles call you to do or call you away from. And notice how with all of these roles you can move around in the world in the ways that you do, and how they serve you or limit you, how they might expand you or contract you, how they might make you feel lighter or heavier. Then perhaps you might imagine if none of these roles existed. If none of these roles defined you, if none of these roles served you or protected you, how do you feel? What's possible from here? What do you miss from here? What are you glad to be free of from here? What's left? What might you choose to define you, should you be able to choose from here on? And begin to become aware of how it might be if you deepened into this place and lived a life from this place. And if you let this dimension of self evolve and grow and show up more in the world, how could life be different? If you learned how to live from here and to deepen beyond and through this place in all that you did in the world. And maintaining this depth, this dimension of self. Again, bring your awareness back to your breath. Be aware of the breath, breathing life into the body. The rise and fall of the chest and the abdomen. The pulsing of the blood through the veins of your body, bringing life to the arms, to the legs, to the fingers, to the toes. For the entire being. Your awareness on your eyelids, you can gently let them open. And return back here. Perhaps with a sense of curiosity for what more is possible should you dive into this dimension of self, this deeper portal to the soul. And perhaps Megan will pick it up from here.
Beautiful, Carly. Thank you so much. So what I really invite you to do now is to notice. Notice your physical experience. I know for myself, my nervous system has slowed even more. There's an opening and an expanding. And that may or may not be a little bit of your own experience. We certainly understand that when women have connected with these deeper soul plan processes, of which that was just a tiny piece, that sometimes we awaken to, gosh, the heaviness of our roles. And you know, that's such a gift. That's such a key to opening that door to soul.
Yeah.
So just notice, be really kind and compassionate to yourself right now. And take some time to integrate that process. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
And so if it's okay, we'd really like to just share for a couple of moments about how you could go deeper with this process of connecting with soul, allowing her to shine out in the world through our Soul Plan online course.
Yeah, and just on that, I have a beautiful testimonial here that I just got the other day from a member of our Soul Plan Temple, and I wondered, shall I read it out? This one that I got just yesterday that I shared with you.
Lovely, because it really does express what women are working with and connecting with when they do the Soul Plan online course. It's very short, but thanks. That'd be great.
She says, I went into the Soul Plan course looking for answers because I've been experiencing intense anxiety and confusion. I was worried about my career, worried about living authentically, and I doubted that I was fulfilling my purpose. The anxiety began affecting my daily life, and I couldn't get away from it. I was desperate. I felt trapped, and I was tired of spinning my wheels. I felt like where I wanted to be was too far away, and the path was too confusing to navigate. I needed guidance and a real plan. Soul Plan gave me the tools to find my answers and create a plan of action. I was able to look within and prioritize what I truly value in life, and to honestly see what had become distractions and roadblocks on my path. This course has helped me to check in and to recalibrate my inner compass. I don't feel lost anymore. I still have problems, but I also have solutions now. It's up to me to change my life. These solutions came from fearlessly being honest with myself during the course, and most importantly, giving myself the time and space to discover what was already inside of me. The answers were always there. I just needed the time, the space, and a little guidance. So thank you, Soul Plan. I am eternally grateful. what's cool about receiving these sorts of testimonials from the women that have joined us is that we're forming a beautiful community of women, like a temple in the sky, from which we're all able to meet in cyberspace together and share these bits and to bring up that which might be challenging us or serving us. We can share whatever comes up as throughout the process, and that's a neat part of of the course. It's not the course, but it's a nice thing that comes up as a part of it. Is what do you call it? It's the temple in the sky.
It's been such a great bonus for us, hasn't it? That we've met so many amazing women and connected with so many women through this heartfelt, soul-felt way. It's been beautiful.
And we've seen some beautiful transformations of ladies coming in a little bit tentatively, and then as they've gone through the courses, and the light of the souls come up and start to flourish into what they're doing, and we see these beautiful transformations, like big sunflowers growing their big smiley heads and shining to the sun.
Stunning, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And so the Soul Plan online course actually came out of a one-day workshop that Carly and I facilitated, and it came through in a way of I saw so many women goal setting and planning, and it all came from, it seemed many times to come from what they thought they should do, what other people were doing, what they thought might be good for them, but really it was about thinking from the mind and from the should and the roles and identities. And so the Soul Plan course that we offered and facilitated locally was a way for women to connect through to the soul self, allow that energy and information to come forward and allow that to guide us in our life. And honestly, we were so blown away by what happened during the workshops, the effects after the workshop, months and months onward, the rave reviews that we got, and women asking us to do it again, do the workshops again, that we really wanted to bring it to more of you and offer it as a way that you could do it anytime in your own home. Not only that, once you've finished the course, there are pieces of the course that you can connect to really invigorate that soul self and that vitality and connect to that truth of self again and bring her through into the world. And that really helps keep you on track. And as Carly said, there's a lovely growing community of support there as well, a virtual community.
Yeah, so we invite you to visit soulplan.tv. There you will be able to click the Learn More button if you would like to learn more. But at soulplan.tv, you will also find a registration box where you can request your free guide for living your soul-filled life. And that's just something we've put together as a little taster for dipping your toes into what it might be like to live a soul-filled life. And it'll kind of get the cockles of your heart brewing for something that might want to expand and evolve out of it, or maybe it's enough for where you are at this point in time. So soulplan.tv if you would like to learn more. I think the only other question I would like to perhaps provide an answer to is what our point of difference is here, because there's quite a few courses and plans and things that we can do out at the moment. When you search online, everyone's activate your soul, or check into this, or shine your light, or there's life coaches left and right. There's all these different ways of really doing things right now, and some things are going to resonate for some people and some things are going to resonate for others. But where Megan and I have come to with this, and perhaps you'll add on to this in a moment, Megan, is as therapists, I'm a hypnotherapist, and Megan works with psychosynthesis and energy in her healing work, and the counseling and the therapy that we provide has really helped us come to a place of, what have we got, combined 30 years here of practice, where we've recognized that therapy with soul is really hard to find, but therapy without soul really doesn't work. And a lot of people don't even want to do therapy. So this course is really about going through your own process where you don't have to do therapy, but you can certainly access your soul. And then if you wanted to deepen it with therapy, that's entirely your call.
beautiful. And this is a really, what I found it is a unique way to help you get unstuck in your life. So if you are feeling like you're spinning your wheels, this is a way where we're not coming from the personal self and kind of riding roughly and getting that personal self to get moving. We're going underneath and energizing through the soul self. And man, that has got more mojo, more juice, more power than you could ever imagine, and more joy as well.
Yeah, I see that.
And so, even when those human struggles come up, when you have that, which they will and they do, you have that deep connection to the potency, the energy, the wisdom of your soul self, and allowing her to speak through into your life, reconnecting, then we open up and we allow ourselves to flow with life. So we're not struggling against the current of our life. We're beautifully guiding ourselves down that river of life. And that is where we start to get more flow, more freedom, more engagement with our true self and with our purpose, however that's going to show up for us. So unique, huh?
Yeah, and it's from that connection that Megan's talking about here that change comes, that transformation comes, that evolution and growth comes. Without that connection, we're just a thinking mind in a body that has stuff and things that goes on. But that connection is what brings our depth, is what brings our truth to the forefront and moves us through life. It's the connection, and that's what Soul Friends all about. It's really making that connection, not talking about it, not discussing it, although we do that too, but it's really about connecting to it in your own way through the processes that we've created.
I don't think that we can think our way into our life purpose.
Mm-hmm. No.
We can't study our way into it. We can't talk with someone else about it. We've got to go deep, right? And so when we have some space and some freedom from those roles and identities, that enables us to go deeper into the soul self. And it's that energy and information. If we allow it to flow, our purpose emerges from us. It's already deeply in us. So we're not thinking our way to it, figuring it out. We're connecting deeply and allowing it to flow out and show itself to us in our life through our inspiration, through our natural connection, joy, and passion with whatever it is that lights our heart up.
And you ain't going to think your way into that. So
just not possible. And and that brings me to another really important point, is that wisdom that we seek outside of ourselves through soulplan.tv, we are helping you connect to that wisdom within you, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's in there, it's accessible for you, and it's very, very important that you take that responsibility, take that ownership and say, actually it is time for me to own my own power, my own responsibility for my deep soul connection and expression in this life.
Because the guru, the teacher, the inner she, the goddess is most certainly within.
She sure is. And I can see Carly and I, right? We're standing at the doorway and we're opening the doorway for you. Go and connect with her.
Yeah, should you so choose. So go ahead and check out soulplan.tv. We'd love to meet you in our temple in the sky, and watch your sunflower flourish.
Yeah, and stay tuned. We've got more of these deep dives coming up. So
yes, we're going to do one. I'm going to do one also on the free guide to living your soul-filled life. So that'll be the next one. So stay tuned for that.
Download the free guide on the website, and then stay tuned because we're going to dive into a kind of a short, deep dive mini workshop into going through that guide and getting the most out of it.
Yeah. All right. I think that's good.
That's good. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate that you've taken the time, that you've allowed yourself to have the grace of being here with us.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye.